Okay. Dear friends, welcome. Let me share the draft agenda first. It is here. So in our agenda, we have 3 items. The first item is, it's in fact a kind of search meeting or search conference, maybe not a conference, but a meeting. How should we configure, structure UBI advocacy efforts or campaigns, especially considering the changing world due to pandemic and technology? So this is a very general topic, and we would like to hear new ideas, or we would like to hear new methodologies from you.
Hello and welcome back. My name's Andrew Kelly from Festival of Ideas. I'm delighted to have with us today Michael Tubbs, Mayor of Stockton. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much for having me.
Michael Tubbs
Michael, one of your calls for action
in Bristol now. Gosh, he's the head of mayors for...
Peter, I'm muting, then I'm restarting. Okay, dear friends, very welcome. Let me share the screen. I thought it was a Zoom bomber, but it's not, luckily. So this is our agenda. We have 3 items. The first item is how should we configure, structure UBI advocacy efforts, campaigns, especially considering the changing world due to pandemic and technology. It will be a search meeting or a search conference, and maybe we will have some starting points at the beginning. And me, Shabana, and Janus, maybe we will give some short points. We will share some tips or clues, and then we will continue. But the idea is how we can configure and structure our efforts considering this pandemic period and the technological developments. And afterwards, we will continue with our working groups and UBI advocates and UBI networks. If there are any, we would like to hear news from them. So is there any additional thing you would like to add to the agenda? Dear Eric, would you like to have something else? So if there isn't any, let's continue with these. Dear friends, regarding first item, I would like to share something again. Where it is here. Okay. No, not this one. Yeah, here. So, dear friends, just to give some points at the beginning, in today's first agenda item, we'll make a kind of search, and our target is, we all have very limited resources while advocating for UBI. So we may introduce certain criteria, and based on these criteria, we may develop certain campaigning tools or methodologies. For example, one of them maybe we should target zero or low financial cost of the activities, campaigns, or events. And the location of the activity is important. Is it going to be a physical location, or will it be in a web environment? And geography and population address is very important too. I mean, will it be in one city, or for a small city, or for a country, or for a bigger geography? So the population address and geography is important. Inclusion of more number of people is also important, how we can do this. And the minimum gross time allocation is also very, very important. For example, when we go to the World Congress of BN, we spend maybe about a week, because we one way for going to there, one day for coming back, and we spend 3-4 days there, and it takes about 6-7 days minimum to attend to a basic income Earth Network Congress. So we are in gross measures, we are allocating a lot of time. So how we can minimize these, and also whether the activities or the campaigns are serving to communicate for communication, interaction, and collaboration. And also, is there any inspirations within these activities? and whether they give UBI advocates possibility to utilize small pieces of time or not, and whether they are promoting diversity or not. These are all small criteria, but very important criteria, I guess. And whether we are able to give our messages by symbols and visuals or not. Of course, physical distancing measures are important. And also serving to inclusion of different age groups is important, especially the youngsters. Maybe Shobana will tell about this also. Social media, web-based tools and creativity, they are all other important items or issues that should be considered. And also high dissemination speed of news and results of the activities and short reaction time is important. What I will do is I will share few ideas very short, quickly. After the invitation message, I received a message from dear Julius Arcipe. He said that there's a video recording which is about 15 things universal basic income won't solve. It's an interesting video recording. I had the chance to listen it. He says that we should discuss and answer the claims mentioned in these video recordings. So this may be an activity, for example, which will be a low-cost activity, which will be used everywhere in the world. So it's an interesting one. So this is the first thing I received. Second thing I received is from Peter Brake. You know, he was attending to our meetings early summer, but in the second part of the summer he couldn't attend. But his campaign is going very well, and he's using Facebook, and he's sponsoring his campaign with very small financial figures. He says that he would like to share his experiences and interesting things. I mean, he's now able to reach many people. And so second one was from Peter Brake, and third one was from Income Movement. This was not after our invitation message, but this was from 13th of September. Income Movement, you know, they are the organizers or initiators of the Basic Income March. They had introduced a mobile phone application, which is counting steps or pace, footsteps. In fact, Dear Gerdur had also tried to promote this in our group, but maybe that time we were very busy and we couldn't concentrate. So this is an interesting one. Again, a low cost and very easy. And I mean, we can discuss on this. So another one is, should we have a kind of UBI TV, once a month video recording composed of short video recordings, and it will have news from countries. For example, there are many things are happening in Germany, Scotland, USA, India, Russia, China, EU, South Korea, and we are hearing these, but sometimes we are missing them too. Why not to have them in a compact version and share it monthly? So it will be a kind of, for example, what happened in Russia, what Medvedev told to the press, or what's happening in Scotland, or what's happening in the USA. So it will be an interesting thing. Once a month, short video recordings from new countries. This is another proposal. And another proposal is we can introduce additional content for the worldwide meetings. I mean, this requires creativity. Any ideas are very welcome. And lastly, we have on third Mondays of each month at Central European Time 20 o'clock, I mean 8 p.m. There will be best practices in UBI advocacy efforts meetings. This is an activity by the ECI UBI campaign. It will be interesting also, I guess. So at the moment we have one from Julius Arcipe. We better discuss and answer the claims in this video recording, which is in fact the claims have been handpicked from the different challenges with basic income worldwide. And second one is Peter Brake's project. Third one is Income Movement's food step counter. Fifth one is a UBI TV monthly. I mean, not 24-hour every day, but monthly, one video recording. And also any additional or different content for the worldwide meetings are welcome. And best practices in UBI advocacy efforts. These meetings will be held on third Mondays of each month at Central European Time 20. So these are the ones I received or I would like to share at the beginning. Peter, welcome. Peter is here. Very nice to see him. Shobana is here. If you do have any questions for the starting points, we can discuss now, or if not, maybe Shobana has some contributions, I guess. We can continue with her. Do you have any questions or any contributions regarding the first part? Oh, Gertrude, please.
Okay. What I wanted to talk, what I think is necessary, that is to have always a channel which is only for people to learn what UBI is. Because people are coming into developed discussions, but what they really want to know also, it's new for them. They want to know the beginning, how and what, to be able to participate in further discussions. And when they come in, they start to ask about all kinds of questions that other people in the in the discussion know already, and they feel uncomfortable about it. I think we should always have like an introduction. Just a specific meeting.
Can I say like this, a channel only for the first comers?
Yes.
To have an idea about the UBI. But yes. What do you mean by a channel?
Yeah, or just a special, like they can log into a special channel. We have to discuss it further, how we do it.
Okay, so I mean, it's a video recording or live discussion group? Gathered.
Important, actually.
Gather, I'm sorry. Hello, you hear me? Dear Gather? Hello, Gather?
Yes.
Did I write correctly? A channel only for the first comers to have an idea about universal basic income?
Yes.
Details to be discussed.
Yeah.
Maybe we can discuss today if we have time at the end. Okay. Any other friends who would like to say anything? If not, let's continue with Shobana. Dear Shobana.
Yeah, thank you, Ali. Kindly permit me to share my screen. Yeah, it's there. So in India, actually, we have different pattern when compared to the developed countries. Even Advocate Ananda Krishnan, who is here, he also expressed in our last meeting. And so we are having a different methodology to reach the people, and we have some structures. We are creating some structures so that we can reach the excessive population that we have. And the first thing is about creating awareness, and after that only we'll be able to get signatures. And so we are in the first stage, and along with the worldwide simultaneous campaign, we also started on the 25th September. And some of the methodologies that I would like to share is, one is basically in India we have some major problem. One is poverty, then female harassment, and the third one is corruption, and of course the fourth one is crimes, war, etc. So these four areas I was working in different direction. Now I find this as a major UBI as a major solution for solving all this problem. So I have just designed this small model where UBI will be a solution to solve crimes and war and female harassment and corruption and poverty. Because UBI credits money directly into everybody's account, female and male will get their share. In India, we have excessive rapes and other problems. So UBI will be able to save the female. And also, India, we have a lot of crimes. People get crimes will be automatically reduced. So this model I have created, and we are just trying to focus this particular for India. And corruption, because of the excessive policies and the schemes, lot of money is going into the channel of corruption. And also the poverty is very excessive. Nearly 60%, 2/3 of the population is living below poverty line as per the international indicators. So I have written actually about status of women in India. And this is a book that I have written. Now I'm updating the book. And I have addressed a lot of serious issues of women in India. And now this book is just now coming out. And this book has 100 articles and 100 authored book also. And mainly I just targeted this book with the motive of bringing about peace and non-violence. But now this UBI is a solution for all these 4 major problems. So with the strategies that we are adopting and whatever can be still further added, I'm just sharing now. So far, whatever we have done is we have bought a domain and we have created a domain for national campaign. Also, we have created WhatsApp groups among the youth. For all the states separately, because each state will have their own language. So youths are gathered for each and every separate WhatsApp groups. So now actually we are conducting some programs among the youth. We are asking them to bring small short videos and videos on speaking about the importance of universal basic income. So many of them have submitted. Nearly 10 youth from different parts of India have submitted small videos. So we are just going to use that for the promotional measures. Also, I invited songs on the importance of universal basic income. We got nearly 4 songs on universal basic income. So this song, all of you also can use. And it speaks about the importance of universal basic income. So I'm sharing all that in the website. So, and then about reaching the public is, I'm just going around different universities and giving lectures on universal basic income. Delhi University, Bangalore University. During this time, I have been inviting 2-3 friends, whoever we are meeting in our worldwide meeting. So that was very helpful and our youth were very much attracted. And once Peter and Gerda came for Delhi University presentation, and the youth were highly attracted by their presentation. Both of them were very impressive, and the youth and a few of the professors and others who came for the meeting also, nearly 200, 300 were there, audience. So all of them were very much impressed and they were very much attracted. They wanted to promote this particular concept. And last time, this Sunday, we arranged for a statewide webinar. Statewide, we asked the youngsters to make presentation, and Ali and Hilde shared their contributions, and that was also very impressive, and they were impressed. I asked Ali to explain about the worldwide campaign, and all the participants were highly benefited because of that, because they are not aware of whatever is happening out of the country. So it was highly beneficial. So then next one is my suggestion for the friends is that worldwide we can also mutually exchange our ideas. Our experts in universal basic income can be mutually invited so that the other country people will be interested in knowing about this, what is happening in other part of the world. So because in India, this is considered as a new concept, because we have very few portion of the people who are intellectuals and who are in the highest strata. And so only these people, out of that very few, are aware of this particular concept. Though in India in 2006 itself, a committee called Tendulkar Committee, it has proposed universal basic income for India. Also Sikkim, a state government in India, it has incorporated this universal basic income within its election manifesto, and it has assured the people that it will implement in 2021, but they are not speaking about it now. Anyhow, they have assured it. So in spite of that, people are not aware of it. So creating awareness is very important. So reaching the youth is, will give us a greater impact, because youth uses a lot of social media. So they'll be able to write a lot of memes, small videos, some blogs. All this youth will be writing. If they are able to understand the importance of this UBI, they will write a lot of interesting things. They know to write in a way that it attracts others. So I'm just using the youth, and you can, all of us can use youth as a medium. And then next one is I'm conducting a lot of competitions among the youth and giving some prizes. I'm giving some gifts or prizes for the youth. Now I have invited for a short video competition on importance of basic income. So likewise, we can also worldwide also we can conduct some competition, and we can give some prizes, good prizes also. And then inviting VIPs will create a major impact. So at least once in 2 months, we must invite some of the VIPs who are working on poverty, because almost all the economists who are working on poverty speaks about basic income. So we can invite them for our worldwide meeting that we are conducting here, and we can ask them to make a presentation. And this presentation can be shared to all our press, all the press of all the countries. So it will reach automatically, it will reach the public. Yesterday I wrote to Joseph Stiglitz. He has actually condemned the activities of Indian government, and he was talking about the weak handling of pandemic. And that actually I appreciated him. Also, I requested him to speak for universal basic income for India and for mainly for developing countries. We can invite him to speak in our online media. So that will be a wonderful sharing. Like him, many others are talking about universal basic income. We can invite them, and we can ask them to share their views. And I'm very much happy about the TV that you are suggesting, TV and channel. That will be a greater medium where all of us can work together. So when we are working together, and when we are hearing about the activities in the friendly countries, we'll also get more motivated. Okay, they are doing this, so we'll also do this. Okay, so likewise we'll get motivated. So it will be wonderful to have such a TV, and to collect short videos from the coordinators of different countries, and making them to do the presentation so that others can hear about it. So that's all the few things that I wanted to share with you. So thank you very much. Ali, you have to unmute yourself.
Dear Shabana, while you are talking, I try to take notes. So here are my notes. You mentioned about a web page, WhatsApp groups, short videos, songs, which is very interesting, I know, meeting with youngsters, meeting at universities, international panels at Zoom, signature collection campaign, create public awareness. Youth is using social media a lot, so we better concentrate to them. I think this is very interesting. Competition among the youth with small prizes or gifts and short video competitions. Maybe you say that a worldwide competition with better or more meaningful prizes, not price. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me correct this. And also a TV channel which will give people an idea about what's ongoing in the world. Did I put the main parts in this here, or is there any mistake, Shobana?
You have incorporated everything. Two more things I would like to suggest. One is about the logo. Having a common logo will be interesting to. It will be interesting because every country, all the countries which are practicing the simultaneous worldwide campaign can use the same logo. So other countries will be motivated to join us. And because African countries, this is very much needed because many of them are suffering and dying out of hunger and poverty. And I have given nearly 3-4 lectures to Nigeria, and but they are less motivated. They are actually interested, but they don't know how to do it. Maybe if we have some sort of sharing and the common TV, all this might interest them, because the African countries are very much in need of this particular campaign. Actually, for today's meeting also, I have created a WhatsApp group for Nigerian professors, and I'm sharing all this information to them through that WhatsApp group. And even today's meeting I have shared, but I don't know, none of the friends from Nigeria has come. So having such common sharing will be very interesting. Also, sharing of the common web page. All the countries which are in the campaign should be put together in a common website. And if we are if you want to know about activities of the one country which is in the simultaneous campaign, we should be able to access it. So that sort of menus should be created for all the countries which are in worldwide campaign. So it will be easy for everyone to access the other countries' activities. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Shobana. I tried to gather these. I will share this at the email group. That's why I'm trying to write these. Any friends who would like to say anything after Shobana's contributions?
Yeah.
Oh, dear Gerdur, please.
Yes, Shobana was just saying what we were discussing just before about the startup page or startup group, because like in Africa, there are so many people, I have the same experience, that really are interested in UBI, but they're hesitant because they need the basic information. They don't know how to handle it, how to start, where to go, and things like that. That is why this UBI startup page or startup chat is so important. Also, especially for those countries.
Dear Gerdur, I am trying to write your words. Please correct me. I understand that you propose to have a international youth group or youth network.
Yeah, no, are you talking to me?
Yeah. Am I correct?
Yeah, I was thinking about the same idea as Shobana was talking about. So we could also like link together people or youth from different schools and different countries, so they could make one video together. So we have local ones, we have international ones, we have all kinds of. So it'd be really interesting. And I was thinking it would be nice also to have elderly people doing one, and it could be, I would have. If they would have had UBI, what would they have done? You know, it'd be very interesting to see what you would have done.
So elderly people,
yeah,
if they had UBI in their previous life, I mean,
yeah, in the earlier life.
in their earlier.
Or earlier in their life.
Yeah, earlier life. Elder people, if they had UBI in their earlier life, what would they have done? Am I correct? The English is correct. I hope it is.
Yeah. This catches the idea.
Let me show you once again. Gathered. This is very interesting for the. So one of them is International Youth Network for UBI from different schools, different countries to prepare a song or to organize other activities. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is regarding elderly people. Says elderly people, if they had UBI in their earlier life, lives or
not
in their earlier ages, let's say.
Yeah.
If they had UBI in their earlier ages, what would they have done? Any change in their decisions? Something like this. Am I correct?
Yeah, because most of the time they don't have any decision. They just have to do whatever happens. You know, they have to perform. Did I tell you about our person here in Iceland who died just a few weeks ago? A very famous person, and well, he committed suicide. And the thing is, when they were writing about him, they were saying if somebody would have hired him, we would have all the famous literature in the world in Icelandic. But nobody hired him to do that, so he never did it. But he was a brilliant translator. Do you know what I mean? So his life went without his passion.
I see. Very interesting. I mean, the youngsters were always on the table, but the elderly people, questioning them or making, okay, this is very interesting. So I think this is...
Can I say a few words?
Yes.
Sure, please. Welcome.
After my friend completes.
1 second. Dear friend, okay, please.
The other speaker, is she done with her presentation?
Shobana, she finished, I guess. Gerdur made her contribution.
No, not Shobana.
Okay, you go ahead. You go ahead in case.
Actually, I just wanted to add with Gerdur, the song that she was suggesting. It was interesting. So action song can be framed, and the same action can be practiced by all country youth, some 4 or 5 youth in different countries. Then all the videos can be put together and it will be very interesting, Gerdur. Yes.
Am I writing correctly, Shobana? Action song, common practice, videos from different countries, and final product or final video. Is it correct?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Excuse me, may I ask whether these songs are already somewhere to be found on the internet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Olaf, I didn't understand your question. You mean whether the songs are already prepared or not?
Yes, I thought whether these songs, the original songs from India, could be seen or heard somewhere on the internet. That was my question.
Ah.
I will share even now.
Okay.
I'll just put all the link here in the right side. You can listen to it later.
Okay.
Ananta Krishna, you can proceed.
Can we continue with our friend Manchi? Dear friend, please.
Call me Ananta Krishna, that's fine for me. Yes.
Please.
So there are two things which I want to bring. Two things. One is the receiver, the other is the giver. As simple as this. The UBI concept, or any concept for that matter, there are two limbs. One is the receiver, the other is the giver. Insofar as the giver is concerned, they are silent. Now, the whole activity, as I understand, I'm sorry, I'm new to this forum. I'm here on invitation from Mr. Rahul Vasudev Reddy and Shobna. So maybe I may be talking something nonsense. Kindly bear with me for some time. Probably once I am into the waters, I may be doing a better job than what I'm trying to do right now. Be that as it may. Now the question is, what are we doing with the receivers? By activating the receivers, at least I am talking with Indian context. I'm not talking with other contexts, okay? With multiple religions, multiple parties in different states, promises made separately by each and every political party, whether this payment part of it, the giver part of it, is the responsibility of the central government or the state government, or it should be a common package between a portion by the center and portion by the state. This is one thing which one has to work out practically. Number one. Number two, the right methodology adopted by the political parties as on today is based on the poor, because that is constituting the majority of the population. So show some tips, make them happy, take the vote, get lost. That is the model that is working. Let us be very frank on facts. Then, if UBI is to take place and replace all these goodies, nobody will have any right or control over this poor. And let me tell you, I know certain places people saying, let these people not grow. These are the words of the politicians. It may be off the record, on the record, I'm not worried about it. I don't want to name anybody because it's a known fact to everybody. So you are not allowing people to grow. When that is the attitude of a decision maker, of a policy maker, how are we, the receivers, going to influence is one major area that has to be looked at. I'm fair, all the suggestions made by Shobana, they are excellent, no doubt about it. Then what? Where this is, first of all, at the absorption stage of the concept. Then what should happen? It should grow to the next level, that is taking a, making their voice heard by the decision makers. The political will, what I call is political will. Unless there is a political will in any country for that matter, in any country, unless the political will is there, nothing is going to work out. And how to influence that political will? Is it by agitation? Is it by request? Is it by representation? Or is it by process of court? And if you have to make it as a process of court, there is one difficulty. The difficulty is whether you are able to bring it within the framework of a writ jurisdiction, whether talk about equal rights or whether talk about the liberty and right to life and Article 21 of Indian Constitution. These are all the things that they are very, very minor. See, sitting across the table, I can say so many things, but putting on a paper and presenting before the court, it needs a lot of work and groundwork and collection of data. I cannot just file something abruptly. This is one. Second, any public interest litigation in any country for that matter, irrespective of the size and shape or the political influences, any public interest litigation, if you look at it minutely, is involved with a private, very, very, very vested interest. And who that private is always a powerful party. So that is the reason why there are no public interest litigations in many countries being fought regularly, though everyone knows open that these are all the problems that have to be handled. This is one major drawback. This need to be answered. Well, let us work out on the answers a little later. Let us first vomit the problems. that we are likely to face. Now, in some countries, you have only two parties, this party or that party. Whoever wins, that is all. But India is not like that. At the national level, you have n number of parties. At the state levels, you have n number of parties. National parties come and participate in the state elections. State parties will try to contest for national elections. So this balancing trick is a very, very tricky situation in the Indian context. So it is essential not only to activate the receiving end, but also to make pressure on the giver side. This is the crux of the issue. This is the crux of the issue, and this has to be handled in a schematic manner. And what would be that schematic manner? Probably, I'm popping about. We have the whole country with 130 crores of population. Either you have to have a uniform basic income across the country, or have a cutoff point, basic, very, very basic, or let us call basic 1, basic 2. Basic 1 by the central government for everybody across the country, and the state government make their contribution to their respective states only. This is basic 2. Put together is the total basic income that can be given to the respective states. This is one model which I am really thinking of once I started putting my mind into this. Whereby the identity crisis, let me put this way, this is going to create an identity crisis to the political bigwigs. And they would not allow things to happen. They know pretty well how to put spokes. True, I am harsh, but I am factually correct. So therefore, these are all the minor details which have to be worked out across the table. And a scheme has to be prepared, then presented before a proper forum, then try to agitate for the rights. This requires, honestly speaking, in India, big money. I may be generous enough to contribute whatever I have in my pocket, but that won't be sufficient. And people are ready to come and attend a meeting, but not ready to take a rupee out of the pocket. What happens? Shobana may have so many feelings. I'm sorry, Shobana, if I'm displeasing you, but I'm helpless. Money is also a very primary requirement to fight in the court of law. 1, 2, when is it going to see the light of the day? The case. Big question mark, because making a new proposal, the court has obviously to offer the information from the respective governments. How many governments, whether central or states, respond positively or negatively immediately? Can the court go further without waiting for these people to come and give their details? No. So, who is the authority to collect taxes? And how this taxes collected has to be attributed. These are all the things which are data-based discussions. What I am talking is gallery talk, honestly. But there is a lot of groundwork to be done at the grassroots level to make figures speak. And the figures should so well speak that despite this, there is no loss to the exchequer of whether central or state governments. It is the persons at the helm of the affairs who are putting spokes, but as it is, this is what we are going to do for the country. Get all the beneficial schemes, you get better money in India. Number 1. Number 2, the tax collection model. This is very, very important point, at least according to me. See, today I pay tax. I declare this is my income. I pay tax on it. Now tell me, how can you catch me if I'm concealing my income? Just to quote an example, ask any Indian whether he's seeing 2000 rupees note today. Ask RBI how many they have printed, where they have gone. I'm just giving an example. There is no 2000 rupee currency note seen in the circulation. but there is wealth of money printed. So all that is stacked somewhere for what? And how it will be utilized? When it will be utilized? GOK. You know that, right? God only knows. So the tax should be at the payment point. If I pay something, I should be taxed. So it is not income based, it should be expense based. So this is again a big decision. It's a policy decision. Parliament should have to decide. So income tax should be converted into expense tax. This is a new word I'm using. But if that happens, probably the income inflow will be more than what is today. Something like that. So many things are there in the mind. I think I have taken a lot of time. Considering the time and also my limited knowledge, I'll stop here.
So Ali, I can respond to him, but you consolidate. After that, I will respond to him.
You have to unmute yourself, Ali. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, okay. Dear Shobana, maybe we can ask from our friend Narmanchi. He mentioned a lot of things, but I couldn't take notes for each of them about the solutions, or about the problems, about the sensitivities, etc. Maybe if he can send a small message, because he said a lot of things, but I couldn't catch all of them. Is it possible, Narmanchi?
See, now that you are recording everything, if I can get the access to the recorded version, I will jot it down and send it across.
Okay, okay.
Because I spoke off the hand, I may not be in a position to give you the exact reproduction of what I said.
Okay, I will do that. I will, because you know we are releasing the recordings after every meeting. I will send to you, and we would like to have
yes,
very compact version of.
I'll get it. Sure, we'll do that.
Okay, compact version of your contribution. It will be great. Shobana, would you like to say anything about his contributions?
Yeah. He's an advocate and a lawyer, Ananda Krishna. He was speaking about the challenges and the constraints that he feared that the country, especially India, will be facing. I appreciate his concern. That is the reason why we are not directly proceeding like the developed countries. In developed countries, you have structures where the rules cannot be barred. It cannot be crossed. But here the rules will be rules and activities will be totally different. So that is why he speaks like that. And the political parties doesn't adhere to the rules also. And so that is the reason why we are directly addressing the mass. He's left, I think, but still, that's the reason why I'm reaching the youth. When youth start writing a lot about this, Ananta Krishna, I'm responding to you. So when they are, the youth start writing, it will slowly reach all political parties' hands. When all political parties are receiving the content of it, they'll be forced to include within their election manifesto. When they are incorporating within election manifesto, they have no other go. So somehow or other, it will come to the channel of parliament. So that is the reason why, instead of directly representing, so far, I was writing to a lot of parliamentarians and the decision makers and the policy framers. But now, instead of reaching them directly, reaching the youth is much better, because these people will start speaking about it. So when they are writing in media, it reaches the press also. When press start writing, it will become a majority opinion. So that is the main agenda through which India can attain it. That's the one thing. Number two methodology is through court. Actually, in India, we have the concept called public interest litigation. That is what Ananda Krishna was saying. Actually, after the last meeting, I requested Ananda Krishna to file a case in the Court of Justice, to make this as a right to live, because UBI is the only concept that can help the people, because it is people have the right to live. So UBI will bring the solution for this. I suggested Ananda Krishna that I will submit all my researches. You file a case, and we will bring that as a good judgment. From the court, if it comes, political parties will have no other go other than accepting. At least it will come to the strata. So these are the two methodologies that in India we can try. So one is about awareness, making them majority people speak about it. Now I am addressing all these four methodologies. One is poverty, then harassment of women. Recently we had a very serious offense of a young girl being gang raped by many men, and this news was suppressed by the government, and the girl body was fired in the midnight, and the news was not at all taken to the stage. After everyone started speaking out, it was taken out after 15 days. And even today, out of poverty and hunger, one old man was put inside the burial ground alive, because they don't have money to eat for themselves, and they feel that the person who is not able to move, why should we feed him? So to that extent, people are so crazy. And then next to the crimes. So crime and violence is the major thing. So because out of poverty, they start stealing from others. So these are some of the serious issues, women issues, because women doesn't have any money. In India, our traditional Hindu structure says there is a human hierarchy. So one community, Brahmin community, is in the top, and there are human hierarchy. So in addition, women are considered as the lowest human being. And in olden days, they were not given any money at all. They were not considered as workers. And so they were mostly unpaid workers. So the continuous exploitation is continuing. So to break it, if you are paying equal money to men and women, so there will be a great solution. Also, in India at present, we have a number of policies. Every policy considers man as the head of the house. Man is the head of the house. So the policy benefit goes directly to the head of the house, to the man only. So women doesn't have any power. So she always has to go behind men. In the upper strata like us, we do not have any such problem. But in lower strata, to satisfy their hunger and poverty, the women are being suppressed. So in all these cases, through these problems, as a concept of finding solution for these problems, we can present in a court of justice. We can bring about a solution. So these are the two methods that we can adopt, and I'm sure we will be able to achieve Ananda Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Shobana. Dear Ingun, please.
Yes, I think this is very interesting, and I really appreciated what Shobana says about how important it is to take both the women's approach, but also that you refer to Gandhi, and one of the books you showed us is about Gandhi's way. So I think one of the concerns about how to activate people on when people actually get UBI, it's like the Shramadana, the Sarvodaya, awakening of all, and you were talking about awareness as a very important part of the movement. And in India, the Gandhi movement with the Sarvodaya approach, it would be very, very interesting also internationally to to see this UBI movement linked with the Gandhian movement, because both because of the Shramadana, the volunteer work, the activating of people for working for the common good, but also for the women's approach, because both Gandhi and Vinoba Bhave were so concerned about the women's movement. They were so supportive to make help the women's rights forward. And so it's like India could be showing some very, very important angles to the UBI work by connecting with the Gandhian movement as also a part of the women's movement. So I really just appreciate so much what you both were sharing. And it's really nice that India is so well represented in this group, because some people from Africa has also been here before and we have lost them again, I think. So it's really nice that India is so much present today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ingun. Let me share the screen again. I tried to get small notes. That's why I would like to consult to the contributors. Where was it? Okay. So from dear Naramanchi, we will receive a written contribution after the video recording. From dear Shobana, I add 2 more notes: crime, poverty, and relation. Okay, and UBI. Okay, we can remember like this. And from Ingun, I took this note: linking the UBI movement with other movements like Gandhian movement or women movement or others. There are many others too. So, am I correct, Ingun?
Yes, sure. You could add that volunteering, because the Gandhian movement that I am referring to, it's a volunteer movement, and UBI will release the power of people being able to do voluntary work because they are assured of their own income. Then they can be more active in volunteering.
Volunteering like this. What do you mean by volunteering? I didn't understand. I'm sorry.
It's like, you know, when you have UBI, you can do whatever, you can be active and you can build the community together. Because you have UBI, you're not depending on wages to do the very, very important village development work. So that's why the Sarvodaya movement is so very good example for the world as a voluntary movement.
Can I say voluntary contributions to the society?
Yes.
Okay. So I am putting this as small notes to remember what we discussed. That's why thank you very much, Ingun. And we have new friends. Dear Luke is here. Dear Kimberly is here. Welcome, welcome. Oh, John is here. So is there any other contributions regarding Shobana's contribution or short presentation? If not, our dear friend Peter Brake is here. He would like to say a few things. He sent an email because I remember. Dear Peter.
Thanks very much, Ali. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Peter, please.
Oh, sweet. Thanks. Yeah, look, I'm not very good with the screen sharing, but the Facebook page that we put up is one that I set up for Canada, New Zealand and Australia with a UBI of 375 financed from GST. What I've done is found $100 a week to put into Facebook advertising for the site. It's costing about 1 cent to get it sent to a person in the city. So so far we've sent it to 49,000 people, and we've had 10,500 people open up the illustrations and look at it. We've got 176 reactions. 20 people are upset about it, so 90% of people like it. We have sorry, 300 conversations. 28 people have shared it, and 64 people have opened up the letters and sent letters to the government supporting it. So the action at the moment is, I've approached a charity group here. So this is a registered charity. They can give donation receipts to anybody that helps sponsor the page. So the charity is going to put a button on the site that says sponsor me. Anybody can then push the button, give some money to the charity, get a charitable receipt, so they get a refund for having donated to it, and the charity, they take 10% for the administration of it, and the other 90% goes towards funding the Facebook page advertising in the area in which they gave the donation from. There's 9 versions of the Facebook page for different regions of the world, including India. So from here, I'm likely to continue with the same page and move it into Canada. So that's what my intention is. The amount in Canada of 375, I'd certainly like any Canadians to talk about whether or not I've got that right. That's something I arrived from using Andrew Yang's calculations, or UBI in the States, and simply applying the exchange difference between Canada and the US to it. So yeah, pretty easy way of doing it. I figure the living costs are about the same. So that's where it's sitting at the moment. We've got a meeting next week where the decision's made. I did the presentation to the trustees. They were all happy with what we were trying to achieve. So it should go through. And there's another charity there that'll step up if we don't have the agreement of this bigger charity. And it can be run worldwide from New Zealand. We have the ability to move that Facebook advertising into any city in Europe, in Canada, India, anywhere. So, and again, the idea is to use any of the sponsored money in the area that the sponsorship came from. I think it's a facility that can be used. It is Facebook. The 1 cent to me, the crucial part of all this is the number of shares. So we've got 25 people that have picked up the page and then shared it on their own page, and it really does help move the world, towards a direction of an understanding of what we're trying to achieve. So it really helps that people share the thing. So that's what the intention is. It is up. It is running. I'm really happy to have 64 letters written to the New Zealand government. We're in the last week of our elections here. Also, while I'm talking, we had the Basic Income New Zealand annual general meeting yesterday. Yeah, 2 days ago now in New Zealand. Had a political party come in with a UBI policy and spoke. Did a very good job, Michael, from the Opportunities Party, and our friend Jessie came in and also did a presentation with her artwork out of Canada. Really, really good to see her again. All went very, very well. So we get to hear on Saturday as to how we're looking in the next election. I think any country that's looking close to an election is a better one to target, because it's political. You know, we're talking policy, so I think people are more likely to read it. They're more likely to share it, and I think we have to strike where the iron's hot. So that's all I've really got to say on the thing. So yeah, any support or interest in sharing the page, or anyone who knows about the intricacies of the Facebook ad. I can't seem to share the ad on my own personal page. So this is on the Universal Entitlement page, and I'd love to be able to share it on my own, because I've got a couple of hundred UBI advocates on my Facebook page that I can't show the conversation to. We've had 300 really interesting conversations. A lot of it is me being accused of being a communist, but the conversation has moved quite dramatically. It's already half a book, so really, really good to have that sort of impact and communication happening at a community level. So I really think it's a valuable exercise, and I hope you guys get on board with it. Thanks very much for having a listen.
Dear Peter, thank you very much. Dear Peter, while you are speaking, I try to take small notes. As far as I understand, in your Facebook page, you have a charity button, and you engaged with a charity organization, and charity organization is a legal entity to receive donations, and the organization is keeping 10% of the donations to be used during their activities, and 90% of the donations are being used for sponsoring the Facebook posts of yours. Am I correct?
Yes, that's right, Ellie, yeah.
But who is this charity organization? Is it an independent body other than Facebook? I mean...
Yes, yeah, the charity runs the Eco Centre up here in the far north. They've got a portfolio of different things that they're involved in, all of it community-based. So yeah, they're an excellent organisation to get behind it. They've got a group of trustees. They have their own manager that would run things. So they've been looking into the intricacies of it as well, and it isn't as straightforward as just like you know, the money comes in, let's spend it there. The running, again, is 9 different sites as well. So hopefully we can put like $100 into an Indian campaign and tackle a couple of the big cities there. And really, it just keeps on running if someone pushes on it and adds a bit of money to the campaign, that enables the Facebook page to continue. So it's simply a facility for the continuation of it.
Peter, can you share the link or the name of the Facebook page in the chat box too, so that we can go and have a look?
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what your view of it is, because
I remember, but for all our friends, it's better to have it in the chat box too. Any other friends who would like to add or ask questions to our friend, dear Peter?
So that's universal entitlement. There's 9 separate ads actually in the page, and the only one that's been sponsored is the New Zealand one so far, but I think we can just continue with that straight into Canada, and then we've got the history of the conversation, which I think is important, because I think that the same questions are going to continue. So if they can see it already in there, then we can move the conversation forward.
Thank you very much, Peter. Any other questions or any other contributions? Oh, Eric, dear Eric, I know that you have a small presentation. Eric, would you please unmute yourself? Question to Peter first, okay.
Is there a question to Peter? I don't have a question to Peter, but if there is still a question to Peter,
Can I ask two questions to Peter with only yes and no answers? Dear Peter, for this charity organization to sponsor your Facebook page, do they have to be an administrator in your Facebook page? Yes or no?
No, they don't. But there'd have to be a bit of organisation between myself and them to be able to know how much money that I've got to spend on the Facebook page. So really, it's just keeping track of and moving the money to make it available through a Visa card and such. So that yeah, we could set them up as an administrator, but really you need someone in there that's going to be answering the questions, keeping the conversation going, that sort of thing as well. So really we need someone in there that hopefully they would be, you know, if they have a good understanding of what we're doing, that could be taken on by them as well. But their purpose, they get the 10% for handling the money, issuing the receipt, and making the money available for the Facebook posting. So that's a standard charge that they charge for that facility.
Thank you, Peter. So we can continue with our dear friend Eric. Dear Eric, you were planning to share.
Yes. So, hello to everybody. Yes, I want to share one picture with everybody, and I want to talk a little bit about Hungary today. Exceptionally. So I have good news and also bad news about Hungary. But first I share this picture. Yes, I will try. Just a minute. Can I share? It doesn't look like. Can I share picture screen? Ali, can I share screen because it doesn't work?
Yeah, it should work.
Now it should work.
After you choose this window, you have to go down and.
Yes, I did it, but I'm not allowed to.
Why?
Because I don't know why. I try again. Now I try again.
Please try again, but it is.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
So, can you see this picture? Can you see it, El?
Yes, we are muted.
Yes, okay. So, this is a model from Hungary, basic income model from Hungary. You have this 25 for children. That 25 means 25,000 Hungarian forint for children. This, what you see in green, is for 2015 when they designed this model. It was in 2015. Then they have changed it already, as you can see. So it's a double now for children. It's 50,000 Hungarian forint. And for an adult person, now it's 100, and it used to be 50. So you can say it in 2015, it was still a partial basic income. Now it is getting into a real full basic income, well, something in between, but we have a very high rate of inflation. So I would say it's still partial basic income and not the real basic income. For a pregnant woman, you have 56,000 forint, and now it's 100, and they propose 150,000 forint. Now there comes the point where I don't know. It's a little part in Hungary called PM, Párbeszéd Magyarország. They designed this model, and they have chosen here something which is a little bit strange. You can see this picture. It's a working person. That this is an idea that a working person would get a higher basic income. So this is the basic income for a working person. So it's a little bit strange, and even the mayor of Budapest, who is in favor with this with basic income in Germany, he's in favor, but he acknowledged that here is some mistakes. I mean, I disagree with that. Why should a working person get a higher basic income as a normal person who is not working? So it's, I think he himself, Karacsony Gergely, the mayor of Budapest at the moment, he himself, he criticized it. He said, it's not a good solution. So it's again something they have mixed. It's too complicated. So that means that a working person who is working would get a higher basic income. He would also get a basic income, but higher than 250,000 Hungarian forint. So, and it used to be 100,000 Hungarian forint. So you see, it is a little bit of a problem, I think. Why should a working person get more basic income than a not working income person? So I think it's not a good idea. And the problem is we should, the problem is that this political part has not discussed their model, their basic income model with a lot of people. They choose this model and they said this is good enough, and there was not really a discussion about that. Okay, I stopped sharing because that's the only picture I wanted to show you. This is a Hungarian model. It's to be honest, it's too complicated, and and it's, from my point of view, we are going away again. Why should we make a difference between working person and not working person when we are talking about basic income? I think it's not a good idea. Because I mean, basic income movement is not only about money. So how much we get. So it's about more. It's about bureaucracy. How can we reduce bureaucracy? How can we? There's a lot of points we have to consider here. It's not only about what the person gets every month, what amount of money. Our movement is a little bit. It should be more than that, and that's why this Hungarian model is not good. But the good news, as I said, the good news is the mayor of Budapest is in favor of that. And if we can talk about this, if we can say, as it was in the beginning, basic income, no matter you work or not, because you need a big administration again to control who is working, who is not working. And then there's a lot of people temporarily working, and then they have no job for a while. So that is why they should have a better model than this one. This is my opinion. So we have good news and bad news from Hungary, and that is all I wanted to say for today. But if there is some question about the Hungarian model, please ask.
Dear friends, thank you, Eric. Dear friends, any questions to our dear friend Eric? Eric, I would like to ask a question. Few questions. First of all, regarding the ECI campaign, how it is ongoing in Hungary. Secondly, this one is the government's model. But
okay. Yes, I will answer your question. Yes. Okay.
No, a few more questions. The municipal mayor of Budapest and the governing party, are they from the same parties?
No.
Okay.
No, so he's in the opposition. He's okay. Karacsony Gergely, the leader of this part, is the mayor of Budapest, but he is in the opposition. And they are always criticizing the government, which is justified. a critic against the government is absolutely justified. But sometimes their methods are the methods of the opposition is sometimes they are also not always democratically working. So because in basic income model, they also should discuss that with the majority of the population. And sometimes they always criticizing the government, and it's okay, it's justified, but sometimes also the opposition is not really working democratically when they create models and when they are not discussing it, they are just presenting it. Here is our model. That's it. And by the way, the Parbesit Maryarsayd's part is very little. They have only a few seats in the parliament. There is very small part in the parliament. So, but they have a model. At least they have a model, a basic income model.
Thank you, dear Eric. I see that there is no other contributions. But okay,
yes,
dear
there
John.
is one from John. John,
yeah.
Sorry.
Dear John, we can't hear you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Is that better? Yeah? Okay, sorry. So politicians like to look after the working people first, because that's where obviously their votes come from. And you know, you can certainly see that rewarding people who are working with more money yet is an attractor. On the other hand, I don't know what your underground economy is like, but I suspect it's pretty high. It probably represents a percentage of your GDP, although it's not recorded. And if you reward people for actually being registered to vote to work, and then they start paying taxes too. So it's sort of a way of making sure that taxes are collected on labor the way that the governments want to. So I mean, there's that other element to it as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a very bizarre system that they've come up with, definitely.
But
you're muted, Eric.
Yes, okay, thank you. Yes, but I think if you make a difference between working and not working people, then again you have this achievement society. You're always overestimating work, and I think our movement is completely in the other direction. As far as I understand our movement. So we want to separate income and work as much as we can, at least on the poverty line. So
yeah, I'm just pointing out you know, talking points that you can bring up. I agree, yes, absolutely. Basic income is basic income. Everyone gets basically the same, you know. You might vary it. A country like Canada, there's plans of, just because prices in Toronto are not the same as prices in Calgary, you know. So there might be a little divergence just based on geography, not on the person receiving it.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm just raising talking points that, you know, hey, yeah, we can see why you're doing this, but it has nothing to do with basic income.
Yes.
It has to do with politics, you know.
Yes, let's put it this way. I mean, it's connected to a basic income, but I think it goes a little bit in another way, and I think we don't want that. We don't want to make that distinction between work people and not work. We want to have one basic income. And because I see, as this administration, again, you need a lot of bureaucracy, and we want to reduce bureaucracy and not having even more bureaucracy, as I said already.
Thank you, Eric. Any other questions or contributions? If not, I would like to say something to Eric. Eric, I spent a lot of time in the university. I mean, till the end of my PhD years, about 7 years, I guess. And I know, is there any academician in between? I mean, between us, is there any academician? I guess
I spent also a lot of years in different universities.
No, I mean, sometimes academicians try to make things complicated. For example, my PhD is in seismic design of buildings, or earthquake resistant design of buildings. I mean, my PhD. And what I understand is sometimes while preparing the codes, design codes, they try to introduce some very complicated nonlinear models, etc., and meaningless. Too many number crunching, and it doesn't go to anywhere. But their point is there. Few people can follow it or understand it, so that they can receive some consultancy contracts. Yes. So with their assistants, etc. So they say for high-rise buildings, they have to come to us because it's easy for a regular engineer. But what they are doing is they are doing a lot of number crunching, too many non-linear analysis, etc. But at the end of the day, they are pouring concrete. Yes. So that model you mentioned, the Hungarian model, is interesting. But when I see such complications, I feel there should be a touch of an academician.
Yes.
So these issues are that serious that we should maybe, I mean, it's just joking, we should keep the academicians a part of these discussions. I mean, when you introduce too many rules, too many checkpoints, too many complications, then it's not that meaningful.
Yes, I agree absolutely with that. And the first Hungarian model in 2014 was even more complicated. So we can say there is a goodwill behind it. There's a goodwill, but sometimes when it's too complicated, then it's not really what we want, what the basic income movement wants. I think so. I hope that I can speak in the name of the movement, but when it becomes too complicated, then something is wrong. Something is wrong. And by the way, how in Hungary it's very interesting that a famous sociologist in Hungary called Csepeli György, and he made a survey who is in favor with basic income and who is not in favor. And he find out that the higher your education, academic education, university and so on, they are in generally against basic income. And in the middle class and the lower academic thing, they are in favor with basic income. So that's the situation in Hungary. It might not be in Germany or in Holland, or it might be different, but in France. But in Hungary, it's interesting that the academic people are not in favor with, in general, there are exceptions, but in general, they are not so much in favor with basic income. That's again interesting.
Thank you, Eric. Dear Ryan, would you like to say something?
Yes, about the academic problem. In France, that is quite a problem because a lot of us in our organization are quite highly educated. And generally, the strategy that we imagine for explaining the basic income to every people are quite the same strategy that the academic have to teach what is basic income. And that's quite a problem because, for example, for the work we do with the ECI, generally we try to convince that our basic income doesn't reduce the level of protection that we already have in France with social security. But the problem is social security is already a difficult thing to understand. So we have to explain what is social security and then what is basic income and what does it change. So it's not the best strategy to make a lot of people signing the ECI, but generally the people we've got here, and I include myself, are generally people that want to speak about basic income seriously with sincere people, and that's not really possible for a mass campaign. And the other thing, what is interesting is we faced in France a difficult transition in our own organization, because the problem is not necessarily what do you put in the basic income, what kind of reform you want to do, but what effect you want to do with it. The problem is we surrender to find a universal basic income that could convince all of our members and can be suggest to the politicians. The problem is we can do a lot of things with basic income, but we can't do all the things that are possible in the same time. So we have to choose, and choosing a strategy is very dangerous for organization, because it divides the forces that agreed on the principle, but not on the political reform that we have to do. So the problem we've got in France is that we have been created after the first ECI in 2013, but we had to defend the concept. Now the concept is not so well known in France, but everyone hear one time about basic income. The problem is we have to build some policies, and we are not really formed for that, except with the academic view, that is to form some complicated things, and it's difficult to sell it to the people. And there is a difference in Hungary. In France, generally, the academic is quite for the basic income, but the problem is to explain to normal people that not live in cities, very important, that not live in cities, what is interest for them. Because the ECI made us work with partnership with other people for resume our thinking about basic income. And the problem we've got by interrogating geographers is the fact that in land side, the problem is not, the solution is not the basic income. Because the problem there is that the government closed the post office, for example. And if you got money, you don't have the market or the place for spending it for living in landside in France. So the problem is today, basic income is a good solution if you live in a city, but 16% of the French doesn't live in a great city. So we've got this kind of problem, and the way that we explained it, the academical way, is not the best to making them understand what can be the interest of basic income. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting points. Any friends who would like to? We didn't hear Luke today. Luke, would you like to say anything?
I have a question. about France. I didn't understand why would the basic income be better for people in cities than in the districts, because in Norway I'm sure that basic income would be just as important and even more important for the districts, because the price levels are a bit lower in the districts. So a basic income will actually give more benefit in the districts. So I just didn't understand what you meant in France, that only the cities would benefit.
Yes, in fact, the COVID crisis show us that all the population get poorer. But the fact is that in the districts, the people doesn't have really access to our public services. And that's a problem from 2 or 3 decades in France. And there is a very huge difference between the support of the government for developing the great metropoles and the districts. So if you give money to people in the districts, they don't have the basic services that they can have for replacing the fact that the government take back all the public services. So it's not a very convincing argument for them, but maybe we didn't explain well. But
yeah, okay, thank you.
Interesting, thank you. Luke, please.
Well, what I could say from my point of view, and John could complete, is that we are organizing a whole lot of one-on-one or small groups of Zoom meetings with MPs, member of parliaments in Quebec and Canada. And I was late today because I had a meeting with a senator, and I think I have 6 or 7 left, more that are planned and more to be held. And it's the same thing with a lot of my colleagues, advocates in Quebec and Canada, in Canada mostly, in what we call the rest of Canada. So that's we are very active now, very active, and I hope it will help advance the knowledge and the advocacy of basic income in Canada. But it's a great moment here in Canada. John might be able to complete.
Sure, thanks, Luke. Yes, Ontario Basic Income Network started up a project that Coalition Canada Basic Income picked up, and basically organized a lobby day on Parliament Hill. And a lobby day in Canada basically gives you access to MPs, right up to the Prime Minister potentially. And you basically, you know, pre-COVID days, we were thinking we'd have a whole day, and things planned around getting senators and MPs together. MPs are members of Parliament for. So that all went out the window with the pandemic, and now it's been stretched over 3 days, and we have arranged a whole bunch of meetings, and we're still arranging meetings with MPs and senators just to talk with them, establish some kind of rapport, and get it in their minds that, you know, basic income is an issue. We've got a minority parliament right now, which just got approval from one of the opposition parties that they would go along with it. So the throne speech has been accepted, but there's a lot of crap happening basically, and everyone's looking, okay, are we going to have an election soon? Just, you know, in terms of, okay, how are we going to plan this recovery for Canada? So we're looking at both election mode, and we're talking with the MPs. So we have a lot of positive happening at the federal government level, We've got a lot of municipalities and provincial organizations on board as well. So there's been a broad outreach to a lot of different sectors in Canada. Ontario Basic Income Network has a case for basic income, a series of one day or whatever the group plans. They get together a bunch of professionals and people who've lived experience that might have something to do with the case that they're talking. We just completed one for women, case for basic income for women. Did one earlier, case for basic income for work. And that was about what is work, you know, redefining work. And so it wasn't like the paid labor sector. And that, you know, I mean, we're getting good reports and we're getting good report and a lot of press out of those case studies that we're doing. And we just did one for artists as well. And God knows this doesn't change anywhere in the world. Artists are struggling, they're in survival mode all the time. And practically all of them have to have a second job that actually pays the bills. So we had a group of like, I think 70 artists from every different genre that you can imagine. And they produced a very good report, and we got incredible take from the artistic community in Canada because of that. A lot more interest, a lot more press. I mean, some of them are writers, some of them are artists, you know, a lot of musicians. And they are advancing our cause all the time as well. So everything is working pretty well in concert right now. And you know, we're Basic Income Canada is we've been talking a lot about, okay, how do we react to what the government comes out in the throne speech? And now it's moving more into, okay, let's move into election mode. What do we have to do in this election coming up to make sure that basic income is an election issue? And that's, you know, we're starting to move in that direction. And back to you, Luke.
Well, just to complete what John's saying, tomorrow I'll have a webinar with visual artists on basic income. So artists for basic income. And during the week, the International Week, I held a webinar that was live on Facebook as well. And I held 7 webinars like that during the week. And the one with the artists was the one with the most success. It was double the other better attendance to those videos. So the artists in Quebec, in the province of Quebec, are very well mobilized. You know, theater, visual artists, musicians, all sorts of fields. They are well aware of what basic income is and how good it could be for not only for them but for the whole population. So it's good. It's a good sector, and I think it will bear some fruits eventually. It will help a lot because they are well connected. They are well. They are well organized. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luke and John. Ingun, would you like to add anything? Ingun?
Yes, I just wanted to share that I think the way you are explaining the work in Canada relates so much to the way the Citizens Climate Lobby is working. So I just wonder if you are connected with the CCL, Citizens Climate Lobby, because they have so many of the same working tools, and they also do understand that basic income is part of the climate solution.
I'm not directly engaged with them, but yes, there is definite dialogue between the climate movement and the basic income community for sure.
Yes, and it's an international movement.
We haven't.
So it's in Canada and UK mostly, but also like we have made a Norwegian group that is CCL Norway. So it's like a very good international network so that we can just use lots of the very well developed working tools that they have developed in the CCL movement. So it's a recommendation for every country to connect with that because they have it's free and it's they have a very good tool set. Thank you.
You shared the link also.
I'll definitely check that out, and if we aren't connected with them, we certainly will get.
Yes.
Dear friends, let me open that Excel sheet once again. After Luke's and John's contributions, I put something additional here in another box. As far as I understand, because of the COVID crisis, artists are becoming UBI advocates. And there are many examples. You mentioned that about 70 different artists are doing UBI advocacy in a way. So maybe we can find some examples and share it so that in other countries, there may be some inspirations from these examples too. What do you think, John and Luke? Do you think it might be possible to hear some examples?
I'm sorry, my audio cut out and I missed a lot of what you said. I'm sorry.
Dear John, dear Luke, my point was very interesting that because of the COVID issue, artists become UBI advocates.
It's not, those meetings were not because of the COVID issue. It was something going on, at least from my point of view, from Quebec. You know, I was working on that before that, and that thing started at OBIN, or Ontario Basic Income, I think before COVID. Mm-hmm. It's not perfectly related, but what I hear from you, Ali, is that of course we could ask the artists and the organizations of artists that we are in contact with to discuss it with their friends in the rest of the world, because I'm sure they are well connected. Like in Quebec, there's very strong connections with artists in France. And we could ask them to make sure that they discuss the basic income with their friends in France, for instance, or elsewhere speaking French. And same thing with the English part of Canada. I'm sure they are very well connected with artists in the US, for instance, very, very well connected with artists in the US. So they could do the same thing. And with people in England or Australia or whatever, you know, all over the world because of English. And I never thought of doing that, Ali, but I think it's a good idea. We could tell them to try and connect with their colleagues all over the world. It would be a sub-network in the network.
Dear Luke, my point was, is it possible to have a collection of samples of their performances or artworks? I mean, how can they contribute? Are they simply using their networks, or are they making some drawings, let's say, I don't know what kind of art they are performing?
Well, Ali, I've worked in the theater. We hate to have artists working for a cause, okay? We don't do that. We just don't do that. We don't ask, when you work with artists, you don't ask them to give their art or give their time and all that. They are given enough time as it is, just learning the art and just practicing. So we wouldn't do that. I would not do that. I would not ask doing that. But anyway, what I told you is good too. They are very well organized. They are in contact with each other. They are networking all over the world. And if they stop talking about basic income and asking their friends, their colleagues, what they think about that, how's the situation on that matter in their country, they will gladly do it. And if they want to improvise some sort of participation with their art, well, that's okay. But it would have to be totally personal and totally free. We can't ask
if I could, Ali, out of that group, we have made use of some talents for some projects and applications, but we always make sure that we pay them, you know, whatever it is that they're entitled to be paid for whatever it is that they do. So it's, you know, it's not like they aren't contributing, because they are always willing to you know, contribute wherever they can. And, you know, ultimately we get a lot of freebies out of them too, but that, as Luke pointed out, that's on their time, and that's because they want to. But we always make sure we pay our contributors.
John, I think there's a misunderstanding. My point was, for example, in the buildings, in big walls, in some zones, they are making big paintings in the walls. Okay, so it's an artwork, and it's giving certain messages. If there is something like this, why not to share this with our friends, so that maybe they can mention about this in their countries, and they can do it similarly, big paintings in their walls or whatever. Or the songs from India, which we had the chance to hear during the Basic Income Week. The youngsters prepared certain songs, and now they are in the link, in the chat box. So we don't want them to do something specific for us. But if they did something, we better disseminate this information to the others, that, okay, these people are doing this. What they are doing, they are making big paintings in the walls of the buildings. This is interesting. Am I clear now, Luke?
Okay, it's all right. But excuse me for being a bit hot on that matter, because it's a sensitive point.
Yeah, but
yeah, I understand what you're saying, Ali, and I don't know of any, honestly, but that's something that I've got a note on it now. Hey,
okay,
do we have a clearinghouse for stuff like that, and if not, why? So I'll bring it up and start working on that.
Yes, so will I.
Dear Shravan?
I feel including artists and arts will really, this will bring a very popularity for the concept. Actually, more popularity is needed for the concept and for this particular economic policy. And so if some of the, even I felt that if some movie directors are impressively presented, they might be able to bring out, based on this concept, some movie even. And if you are able to motivate some cinema directors to prepare a short movie, and with some story and all that, it will be able to influence the people. And it will just show a model for others. Okay, if this is the case, what will be? Because it will be like, because we do not have any such models, totally the country is completely UBI and all that, people will be wondering how it will be and all that, all the constraints they are speaking about. And it is mandatory that we use the artists to show them a model, actual model. And that will be really attractive. Also using them to design drawings and all that, this will attract the people. Visual is very powerful than what we are speaking about. As Reher was saying that when academics, and Ali was also telling, when we are more speaking of academics, it will not be very impressive. When I start speaking more to Ali, he'll start speaking, oh, you're a professor. Okay, so when somebody start giving lectures continuously, it will be boring. And if it is an artistic manner, it will reach very easily. So I feel that will be a wonderful suggestion.
Can I share something in the screen? And if you don't have anything to add, I would like to ask something to Peter afterwards. Let me share the screen first. So this is environmental artists fighting for change. Seven environmental artists fighting for change, and they do such artwork. I mean, and another one is from Calgary, I guess. Basic Income Calgary has a, okay, it was something like this. Okay, here are the artists, and they are mentioned. And this is the visit the Arts Collective Virtual Gallery. So they made some designs like this, I guess. So, I mean, just to share with you. If you don't have any questions, I can I ask a question to Peter Knight? Dear Peter, my question is, do you think Joe Biden will be the president? And in case, if he becomes the president, do you think Andrew Yang will be in the cabinet? And in case is Andrew Yang is in the cabinet, do you think basic income will be a hot issue in the United States?
That's a lot of questions, but yes, looking at all the polls, and I can give you the links to the major aggregators of polls, and you can break them down by states and all the rest. It looks like Biden and Harris will be the president and vice president, and Harris has taken a position pro-emergency UBI at a very substantial level. As for Andrew, well, he said he's had discussions. He hasn't. They've been cagey and haven't said. I don't think any choices have been made, or at least they're not public. But I think the thing is on the map now, and between Yang's candidacy and the COVID, it's moved into the mainstream, and that was very clear in the UK this morning with this discussion with the Minister of Social Welfare or whatever it is, and there were maybe 10 or 15 MPs there making statements. The minister was a conservative and didn't seem to be that sympathetic, but lots of good points were made. And then this Bristol conference that I put into the chat, and all their sessions are going to be available. I've asked if there's going to be a availability of the Westminster thing, but it was mentioned that it had gone on today parallel during the Bristol conference, and so many people and several of the people in the Bristol conference were MPs themselves. So, and a number were journalists and political scientists. In the UK, it's apparently really has moved into the mainstream, and the COVID has, and plus the feeling there's a need to, COVID has revealed holes in the safety net, essentially, the Social Security safety net in the UK. That was a main point that came through very strongly, and then maybe people who are skeptical, including some of the people in the conference that were skeptical before, and even some of the MPs that were in the question and answer in the Parliament, were skeptical before and not so much now, or they still have questions and issues, and there are issues and interactions with what they call universal services, which is the kind of patchwork of, when I went to the site for universal services and saw how you apply and how complicated it is, I'm glad I don't have to apply for anything, because it certainly sounded like a bureaucratic nightmare, even if it was electronic one. But anyway, yeah, I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic about the U.S. and we continue to make financial contributions and social media contributions to the campaigns. We'll see what happens, as Mr. Trump says.
Oh, pardon. Thank you very much, Peter. Dear friends, is there any other contribution or any other thing you would like to share or mention? I put into the chat box the two links. One is regarding the Basic Income Calgary, the art gallery, and the other one is regarding the environmental artists. Two links.
Yeah, and excuse me for dropping out for a minute, but there was that session, the sort of final session of the Bristol, and they also had on Tubbs, who was the guy who started the Mayors for UBI pilot kind of thing, Mayors for Guaranteed Income, I guess it's called, and now there are 24 or 25 mayors around the U.S., including very important cities. I wrote them down. Gosh, Tacoma, Washington, Gainesville, Florida, Oakland, California, Richmond, Virginia, Shreveport, Louisiana, Madison, Wisconsin, Paterson, New Jersey, Ithaca, New York, Mount Vernon, New York, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Holyoke, Mass, Philadelphia, Jackson, Mississippi, Los Angeles, California, Long Beach, California, St. Paul, Minnesota, Seattle, Washington, Providence, Rhode Island. That's pretty impressive. And there are more. Those mayors have joined Mayors for a Guaranteed Income. They're in favor of pilots. That's not UBI, but at least it's putting it on the map.
Dear Peter, to tell the truth, I don't believe the local municipalities can realize UBI because
they don't have the resources to do it.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Well, the ones that are being done, the pilots, are done in part by contributions by individuals and foundations to running pilots, as was the case in Stockton and is most likely going to be the case in the other cities. So, but the fact that there are pilots then puts it on the map. I mean, the last time there were pilots in the United States, other than the few recent ones like the Magnolia Mothers Trust and and then the Cherokee Indians and so forth, it was back in the 1970s. And now there's this movement and a bunch of dynamic mayors. It's interesting that Mayor Tubbs did not support Yang, but he supported Bloomberg, but Bloomberg paid for his trip, for his course at Harvard. So he's gotten kind of a little extracurricular, post university education.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. Dear friends, then we can finish today's meeting. Thank you very much for attending.
Thanks for today, guys.
I should say to Eric
And
that I'm a great believer in the Hungarian economist Jonas Kornai. I've read a lot of his books.
Bye-bye.
Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.